Hi everyone, good to see you on my channel today. Today I will tell you a wonderful story. It is full of love and kindness. I hope you enjoy it and I wish you an enjoyable viewing experience. Thank you. Amanda was born in a remote and small northern village. She never imagined that she would ever live in a big metropolis. Growing up, she had a mom and dad and 6 younger siblings. "Amanda, you're going to have to do a little schooling," her mom told her daughter. "I don't want to. I'll hide and no one will find me," cried the girl. Without education in our time, nowhere, the mother also did not want to, but it was necessary to send her daughter to boarding school. "I will not fly," stomped the girl's feet. "Okay, the time will come, we'll see," sighed the woman. There were 4 months left before the helicopter would come to pick up the children, so it was still possible to make an agreement with the child. It was always so. When the school age approached, a helicopter would come from a bigger village and take the children to boarding school. They did not want to, resisted, hid, cried, dreamed of staying with their relatives. They didn't want to give their kids away, but there was no choice. They had to study. "No, ooh, mommy," Amanda screamed when some aunt dragged her into the helicopter. "My little one, we will definitely come to you," cried her mother, but she could do nothing. Children stayed at the boarding school from September to the end of April. Then they were taken back to their families for vacations. First, Amanda suffered a lot. She did not understand what to do here and how to live in unusual conditions. No matter how supportive her caregivers and teachers were, she was uncontrollable. "Amanda, why aren't you like the others?" almost cried the teacher who stayed with them after school. "What do you want?" Quiet and calm. She was already in middle school, but still did not understand why she needed these 3 plus 2 to count dear. You have to study to achieve something later in life, not do as you please. Amanda was not the only student like this, but she was the only one in her stream who had the most trouble. In 6th grade, the teacher caught her with a cigarette outside school, and as the years went on, the worse the girl behaved. No matter what they did, it was no use. "As you wish, but to the 9th grade, it must be dragged to the 9th grade," said the teachers and educators of the school principal. We understand this, so everyone was aware of the rules of the educational process. As soon as there was a teachers' meeting, Amanda's name rang out from all the teachers. She's doing badly there and she's doing badly here. The girl herself didn't know what she had to do to be praised by someone. But the teachers didn't realize that all this was still a flower. The berries began further when it was the 8th and 9th grade. "Today is the disco," everyone on the floor said. "Definitely will go." Amanda was sure of herself. She could dance for hours on end. And in the 9th grade, which as the teachers hoped was Amanda's last, the girl fell in love, so much so that everyone knew about it. "Honey, stop crying," her night nurse told her. "He danced with someone else today," the girl said through sobs. "That doesn't mean anything," said the woman next to the girl. She was afraid that she might do something to herself. "He doesn't love me," she howled. "Believe me, it's adolescent love. When you think about everything to the max. In fact, it's just a big sympathy," assured her tutor. "No, we're serious." Amanda couldn't calm down. "Well, why don't we talk to him tomorrow?" the woman suggested then. "Okay," the girl agreed. "Now go to your room and go to bed," the one who had been by her side for years begged her. "Now," Amanda promised, but she did nothing. When the tears finally wore off and she began to peck her nose right there where they were sitting, the teacher took her herself. And the next day, there was a fight. And the one Amanda's lover was dancing with got hurt. "And why did you do that?" She stood in front of a team of teachers who were responsible for every child. "I didn't do it," proudly raising her head, the girl answered. "We know that not with their own hands, but on your tip, it was already impossible to tolerate it." What are you going to do to me now? Amanda knew that she couldn't be kicked out, at most a reprimand. Go on. The teachers couldn't wait for the student to leave. But it wasn't that simple. In the spring, Amanda suddenly got in over her head. She thought that without education, she would not get anywhere. And in general, she would have nothing in life. I want to go to the 10th grade, she declared to her class teacher. The girl really started to do well. She corrected all her grades. I need to talk to the principal, she told her. Okay, I'll wait, the girl agreed. She took an oath that she would study the rest of the years as she did now, or she would be given her 9th grade certificate, and that would be the end of her education. Amanda made the promise and kept it. She finished 11th grade with a near-perfect grade. Her behavior had changed, her appearance in general, as if she were a completely different person. Where are you going this summer? Her friend asked her. I'll stay with my parents for a while, help them with the younger children, and then I'll go to California. She told me about her plans. Of course, she still had 1 year to study here. Amanda did just as she said. When she arrived at her family's house, she couldn't stay here for long. There was work to do, kids screaming all the time. She thought she couldn't wait to leave. Daughter, what happened to you? I don't recognize you, her mother told her. I don't know. Somehow my brain reorganized. She laughed and shrugged her shoulders. And so it happened. She flew to California to enter one of the institutes. The girl knew that many of her friends were studying there, so she planned to meet acquaintances. And there turned out to be plenty of them there. But here was only one thing. No one wanted to do anything. In the girl woke up some financial vein. She set her sights on becoming rich. Hey, Amanda, what are you so serious about? Everyone who knew her didn't recognize her now. The girl wore glasses, always wore strict suits, and most importantly, she studied. None of your business, she answered. The girl realized that if she got involved with those who wanted nothing, they would just pull her down. She calculated everything. If earlier from the boarding school they were taken home at the expense of the state, fed in the canteen, and given a lot of things. Now it did not have to wait, only living in a dormitory, and a meager scholarship, and that if you learn well, and for that you had to try. Where do you disappear all the time? Asked her roommates. I work all the jobs she's ever had. Amanda worked everywhere. She wasn't afraid of any job because she realized she needed the money. At night, they wondered, what's the big deal? Lately she found a good part-time job at the store, and she would go out there from 8 in the evening until 8 in the evening until 8 in the morning. After that, she would gather her strength in a fist and go to study, then a little sleep. And that was it. She was ready for everything again. You should enjoy life while you're young, not work for someone else's uncle. They laughed at her. Well, stick to your own principles. She did not argue with them because it was a waste of time. Better, while she had it, to lie down to sleep and gain strength. The girl was punchy, so she achieved the goal she set for herself. Amanda met Betty, who also worked at the same store. They became very close in a short time. How do you walk in those circles? Amanda pointed at her friend's heels. And what else is there to catch a rich, pint-sized, pirate-like long legs in a short skirt and high heels? The girl didn't understand. With this, Amanda tapped her head with her finger. Oh, and if there's nothing there, Betty only laughed. Well, I don't know. I mean cunning and wit, and it should be in every woman. The girl continued to work. She continued to study. The fatigue was very strong, but the girl did not put her hands down. She waited for the summer when studying would not be, and she would be able to work in the day and at night to sleep normally. That was her biggest dream so far. Hello, Amanda heard a man say at work one day. Hello? She saw a young man at the cash register. He was handsome. In a nice suit, he smelled of expensive perfume. Good evening. Or rather, it's already night. The girl looked at her watch. Amanda, what an unusual name. He looked at her name tag. Thank you. The girl was a little embarrassed. Maybe we can get to know each other better, he asked her. I don't have time at all, Amanda admitted honestly. When will you have time? The guy asked insistently. Since the time was late, there were not many people in the store, so the payment was very slow. The young people had time to talk. I think never, sighed the girl. This cannot be. Every person should have free time to relax, the young man continued to insist. I study during the day and work at night. Amanda looked him in the eyes. The girl's appearance was unusual, but at the same time she was very pretty. Slanted eyes, high cheekbones, plump lips, all this could not fail to attract. Now I have no time. The young man looked toward the exit, but I will still come to you. After these words, he gathered all the purchases in a bag and walked away from the cash register. Without even saying goodbye, Betty heard their conversation. It was nothing. Amanda didn't pay attention to it. She saw that there were no people at all, sat down on a chair and closed her eyes. The shift was over. Amanda went outside. She realized that she had to hold out for a few more hours at the institute, and then the long-awaited sleep would come. The girl came as usual. The lectures were boring. Her eyes closed by themselves. And finally, it was over. It was possible to go to the dormitory to rest. Amanda? She heard someone calling her, but the fatigue was such that it was hard to even turn her head. Girl, there seems to be someone addressing you. One of the students approached her. Yes, she sighed and turned around. Didn't you hear? The same guy who had been at the store the night before was sitting in the car. How did you know where I went to school? For some reason, that's all she was interested in right now. It doesn't matter. Let's go. He got out of the car and opened the door for her. No. She knew she had very little time to sleep, so she didn't want to waste it on anything else. Why? Didn't understand the young man. For one thing, I don't even know your name, though Amanda wanted to sleep. Her brain was still working. Alfred, he held out his hand to her. Okay, let's make a deal. She looked up at him. Come on, I'll agree to anything. He smiled. Today we will reach the hostel, and when I have a day off, I promise we will meet you. Only on these terms she was ready to go with him now. I agree. Alfred put the girl in the car, and as agreed, drove her to the hostel. Thank you. She got out of the car and waved to him. You're welcome. Always glad to help such a beautiful girl. It was obvious that Alfred was admiring his new acquaintance. Amanda only reached the bed and immediately lay down. She didn't have enough energy to even wash her face, let alone do anything else. She slept for 5 hours, then her alarm clock went off. She had to get up again and get ready for work. You already look like a zombie, her roommate told her. Yeah, the girl just answered her. She had no strength at all. And again she stood behind the cash register and smiled at the visitors, although inside her everything was asleep. But tomorrow she would have the day off, and she would have the day off, and she would just climb into bed and sleep a dreamless sleep. Hello, the girl shuddered. Scared hello. Amanda saw a bouquet in the hands of a young man. This is for you, so to speak, to raise the mood. He handed her the flowers. Nice, thank you, she sniffed them. I tried, Alfred laughed. You make it sound like you picked them yourself. Amanda smiled too. She realized that next to this young man, her tiredness was disappearing. Or maybe it was himself. He fell silent and looked at her absent-mindedly. That's it. I have to work. She put the flowers behind the cash register when she saw the next customer coming. You promised me a day off, Alfred reminded her. It will be the day after tomorrow. She didn't want to waste the whole day. See you then, the guy winked at her. Why did you lie to him? Betty came up to her. I don't care what he thinks of me, but I can't stay awake that long, Amanda said, and yawned. She had worked her shift as usual and had to go to school again. She was like a sleepy fly, but she made it through all her classes and then finally went home to get some real sleep tonight. Amanda didn't even bother to eat lunch because she was lazy. She just threw back the blanket and lay down. Not a minute later, Amanda was asleep. She didn't care what was going on around her, and she didn't hear anything. Amanda yawned in the morning and stretched in bed. She looked at the clock. There was still a whole hour to study. The girl brewed herself some coffee. She felt completely rested. "Hello," greeted her Alfred after par. He was back in his car. "Hello," she smiled at him, her heart beating faster in her chest. "Why didn't you say that you had yesterday off, but you just wanted to rest?" he asked resentfully. "Look, it's okay. No one died." She didn't want to get into an argument right now. "No, but I wouldn't have come to the store yesterday." He got out of the car and opened the doors for her. "Everyone, if you want the day to go well, you don't have to bring up stupid topics." She glared at him. "Okay, let's go." He started the car, and they moved out of the driveway. "Where are we going?" Amanda looked out the window even though she had lived here for a long time. She had hardly been anywhere. "I made reservations at a restaurant." He didn't look at her, only at the road. "Good." She felt hungry because she had only had a cup of coffee since yesterday. While they were driving, Amanda was looking around the car besides the scenery outside the window. Everything here was expensive, and the car itself was not middle class. The young man wore not the cheapest watch, suit, shoes. Only now Amanda realized that he was not from a poor family, and perhaps he had achieved everything on his own. "Why don't you say anything?" The boy turned to her. "I don't know what to say." It was true. "Tell me about yourself," he asked her. "What to tell? I live, study, work, and you know it yourself," the girl said quickly. "And something about yourself." It seemed that he was interested. "Nothing to tell," came from a very small and unknown village. Now here. This topic never liked Amanda. "Okay?" Some other time. Alfred fell silent. They pulled up to some building. The guy got out again to open the door for the girl. She liked that kind of courtesy. "Thank you." She stood by the car, waiting for him to get his stuff. The couple went inside. There was indeed a table reserved. They were escorted to it. There was already a menu on the table. "What do you think?" Alfred looked at Amanda as if he wanted her to appreciate his choice. Classy. She'd really never been to a place like this. "I tried," he smirked. "I don't even know what to order. There wasn't a single familiar name on the menu." "Can I do it?" He took from her hands a small book with pictures of what was served here. "Yes, of course," the girl agreed. While Alfred read and called the waiter the dishes, Amanda looked around, realizing that the place was not so cheap. "That's it." The young man rubbed his hands together. "What, that's it?" The girl did not understand him. The order was made. At that moment the waiter came. He put on the table a couple of glasses and a bucket with ice, in which there was a bottle of champagne. It was good to be served like this. Amanda had only seen in movies. When the glasses were filled, Alfred raised his own. "I want to drink to the most attractive girl in this restaurant," he said. "Ha ha ha ha," laughed Amanda. "What did I say that was funny?" He didn't get it. "It's a good toast when we're the only customers here." She looked around. "Well, sorry," it was a compliment. He held out his glass to her. "Okay. Sorry. Thank you." She clinked the glasses lightly, followed by a quiet clinking sound. They drank, and then the food arrived, which Amanda didn't know how to eat because no one had taught her table etiquette. "Come on if you don't know." "Just take a fork," Alfred said, and took that cutlery too. "You're so considerate." Was the girl grateful to him that he noticed it? It's okay, they sat there. The conversation wasn't working. The glasses were filled again. "And how will we go home? You're driving," wondered the girl. "That's okay. There's a sober driver service here," he told her. "Okay." This was the first time she'd heard of it too. It was a little embarrassing. "Don't be embarrassed. It's okay. Not for the first time," Alfred repeated. "Okay." Amanda had had enough of all the wisdom of the rich life. "Are you offended?" The young man saw how the girl became sad. "No. Tell me about yourself," she asked him. "I was born and raised in this city. My parents have a lot, as you can see, and I do not lack." He nodded at the window. It was unclear what the guy means, a car or a restaurant. And what is there to boast about? If you earned it all yourself, I understand. But so, she shrugged her shoulders. Why not take it if they give it to you? He didn't understand. Why do you want to get to know me? Just another whim. Amanda got bolder. Maybe it was the champagne. I liked you, why not? Now it was his turn to be surprised. Yes, yes. Amanda looked at her plate and realized that rich men don't choose cashiers from stores, and even unknown where they came from. Well, what are we all about sad? Soon my friends and I have a party. I want you to come with me, began to say Alfred quickly. Are you going to introduce me to your friends too? She raised her eyebrows upwards. What's wrong with you? I want to socialize with you. You're smart, pretty, he enumerated. Just not trustworthy, and that was pretty much the truth. Honest to top it off, laughed the guy. So what's up about the party? Okay, if it falls on my day off, I guess I'll go, agreed Amanda. And I'll set it up, Alfred promised. Great. They had another drink. Then the young people talked for a long time about various things. So, do you want to go home or do you want something else? Alfred asked, when it was about 11 o'clock in the evening. Oh, I might be late for the hostel. Amanda looked at her watch. Then let's go, he called the waiter, paid the bill, and said he needed a driver. They arrived without incident, said goodbye at the entrance, and agreed to meet. Amanda went up to the room. The neighbor was not there, but it was not important. Tomorrow was a busy day again. She needed to rest. So, did you meet your rich boyfriend? Betty asked me at work the next day. Yes, but let's not get into details, Amanda grumbled. Alfred had met her at the institute again today, so she hadn't been able to sleep. Okay, I'm not pestering you. I can see you're tired. Off to work, girl. Amanda began to think about how she could combine everything together. Study, work, and meetings with a young man. But everything came out so that it is necessary to leave something one. She couldn't give up her work and studies then. But Amanda didn't want to think about that. Alfred was with her every day now. He realized that if he didn't give the girl a rest, she would leave him sooner or later, and he didn't need that. Remember that party I told you about? Amanda had the day off today. Yeah, she said. How could I forget? You have today and tomorrow off. So rest today and then we'll meet tomorrow. He planned everything before the weekend, because the day after the party the girl wouldn't have to get up for school. That's a good idea, thank you. She kissed him. Amanda took Alfred's advice, and as soon as they parted, she went straight to her room and went to bed. Tonight she dreamed that she was climbing somewhere, but there was no way she could do it. In her dream, Amanda had cut all her arms, but she still managed to climb up the wooden planks. And there was a stranger standing there. At this point, the girl woke up. You were twitching during the night, the neighbor told her. I was dreaming about all sorts of things, Amanda said. What kind of stuff? The girl was spinning around in the mirror. That I was crawling somewhere, Amanda began to remember. Crawling. The neighbor turned to her. She looked at her hands, which were intact, and smiled. It's a good dream. You'll get everything you wanted. They were going to study. We'll see, sighed Amanda. She was so tired of everything. And then the packing started in the evening. There was nothing decent in her closet. The blouses, skirts, pants she wore every day to school and work. Amanda never thought she could use a dress. Selina, help me out. She turned to her neighbor. She had to tell her that she was going to a party tonight. Wow. She studies, works, doesn't sleep at all, and still has time to meet someone. The girl was surprised and laughed. Okay, I'll tell you all about it later. Help me, Amanda asked. Now she opened her closet. There was a lot of stuff, outfits for every event. Why do you need so much? She didn't even realize she had to have so much stuff. What I give, that, and measure it, threatened the neighbor with a finger. Come on. Amanda couldn't wait to finish it all. They spent almost an hour in front of the mirror. First they chose a dress. Then they put on makeup and did their hair. Well, you look stunning. Selina considered her friend. No. Very provocative. Amanda kept trying to pull the dress down. You're what? Selena even took offense. Thank you, no offense. The roommates hugged. Amanda went down to the watch. Alfred had just walked in. Wow, beautiful. He looked at her. Hi. She took his hand and they walked out. What are you doing? The guy didn't understand. I don't want to draw attention to myself, she just said. That's it. Enough talking, get in. He opened the car door in front of her like he always did. They drove out of town. There was a big house where everything was supposed to happen. Was it yours? Amanda guessed. Yes, my parents' summer house. But they don't forbid me to spend holidays here sometimes, he told her as he opened the gate and started the car. Wow. The girl shook her head. No one was here yet. The couple went straight to the kitchen where there were a lot of packages. Everything had to be chopped, and what was already ready, beautifully arranged on plates. Amanda took care of that. Alfred was setting up the equipment at that moment. Hello everyone, boys and girls started to arrive one by one. The house began to fill up with young people. It was noisy. People were drinking, eating, talking. At some point, Alfred turned off the music, took the microphone. Friends, listen. He took Amanda's hand and pulled her close to him. Oh, have you been to China? Came a male voice. David, shut up. The young man looked at him. Why wasn't it? Made surprised eyes and laughed the guy. Meet Amanda, this is Amanda, my girlfriend, said Alfred. Ooh. The crowd started to buzz. Why? I wanted to go unnoticed in the first place, the girl whispered. Come on, this is all just for you. Circled the house with Alfred's hand. After the show, fun continued. Amanda took away and brought back plates. So are you a servant or a girl? Laughed some major and tried to hit the girl on the soft place. What are you doing? She turned and looked at him with contempt. Oh, sorry how gentle we are, he said naively. Still, it was possible to meet some people here and even get a phone number. Amanda never refused to take business cards from influential young people. What if she could use some of them in the future? Did you like it? It was almost morning when Amanda cleared the dishes from the table. Not really, she said honestly. Well, for nothing, Alfred sat on the couch. He sprawled out and watched the girl work. Do you want to quit your job? You will study and I will provide? He asked her. What are you talking about? I will provide for myself, she stopped and looked at him. After that party, Amanda felt like their relationship had gotten closer. Now that he'd introduced her to his friends, that meant something. When he introduced her to his parents, then it could be considered that he had serious plans for her. But Alfred was in no hurry to do that. Amanda didn't go anywhere for the summer. Firstly, she was working, and secondly, she didn't want to part with Alfred. It was easier now. It was a 2-by-2 job, that's all. Alfred often met her. They went for walks, went to restaurants. So, are you going to study with renewed vigor? Asked her young man, when in September she began to go to the institute again. Of course, she exhaled. She realized that now again will come this difficult time without sleep and rest. Once again, I suggest quitting one day before New Year's Eve, Alfred suggested. My answer did not change. She stood her ground. And I'll rent you an apartment where we can meet, and there will be no need to go anywhere. An idea popped into his head. I don't even know. The girl hesitated at first. And what is there not to know? I'll rent, and you live. But got up in the morning and quietly went to school and came from work, and here I am. He opened his arms to hug her. Okay, I promise to think about it, Amanda said then. She did think about it. And why not take advantage of the situation? She and Alfred were together anyway, so what was the harm in having their own apartment, albeit temporarily? Alfred, I agree, said the girl then, and the guy without any delay did what he promised. The New Year's party was very cheerful. Alfred was at it together with Amanda. The girls were looking at this couple. They all wanted to get the attention of this young man. They couldn't understand how he paid attention to this girl. What are they looking at? Amanda didn't understand. Jealous, never mind. He walked like a peacock among all his friends. Now Amanda lived in an apartment. Alfred often visited her, sometimes without her knowledge. "You either move out or stop scaring her with your sudden appearances," she told him. "Wait. I think it's too early to live together." He put his finger to his lips, though the gesture didn't fit here. "When am I going to meet your parents?" Amanda asked. She was getting the hang of it, and she was relaxed with Alfred. "Will you quit your job?" he asked her again. "I don't know." It was summer ahead, and this was a time when I didn't have to go to school. "It pleases me that the answer is already more uncertain," honestly said Alfred. And so it turned out, all summer the girl worked like all other people. The young man was glad she was home all the time and almost never tired. By the time he came to her, Amanda had already managed to sleep and even cook something. "So, are you quitting?" he asked her in early September. "Yes." She nodded confidently. "How glad I am," he hugged the girl. "And I'm glad too." She hugged him too. Alfred was now a frequent guest in this apartment. He stayed once, stayed a second time, and then moved out. Amanda was the happiest. She was studying, living in a big city, and she had a man she loved. "There's a costume party tonight," he announced to Amanda one day. She didn't understand what he wanted her to do. "Can you wear your national costume?" he asked her. "Sure, would that be appropriate?" The girl was not sure. "Yes," the young man smiled. Amanda did not want to upset her lover, so she agreed. In the evening, she went out to him in a beautiful outfit. Alfred himself was in an ordinary suit. "Why are you without a suit?" She did not understand. "I put on a mask there." He looked at the girl. Now they went to some restaurant. There, everyone began to take pictures together with Amanda, saying kind words to her. But when the girls saw that this girl was in a costume with Alfred, they started to get mad at her again. "You're awesome," her boyfriend said to her. "Thanks," was a little hot Amanda. In the evening when they got home, Alfred said he had some business to attend to and left. "And so it always is," the girl muttered to herself, and went to change her clothes and go to sleep. In the morning, she woke up and saw Alfred sleeping on the couch in the other room. She walked to the kitchen, made breakfast, coffee. And then, no matter how much she woke up her lover, he never got up. Then Amanda waved at him and went to study. On the way, she realized that she herself did not drink an invigorating drink. "Alfred, I'm home," she returned after studying, but no one answered her. Amanda walked through, saw that breakfast was eaten. The plate still stands on the table, and the bed where he slept, not cleaned. Nothing. I did it all myself. Like I'm a housekeeper instead of the woman I love. Amanda grumbled as she did all this. After that, she went into the kitchen and made dinner. Sat down in her room at the table to do the assignments that were given at the institute. The young man had been gone all this time. He came closer tonight. Amanda had already gone to bed. She heard the front door slam. She got up. "Aye." She looked at her lover. "Leave me alone," he told her. She realized he was tipsy. "Why are you doing this to me?" Amanda asked. "What do you want me to say?" He looked at her, walked back to the couch, plopped down, and immediately snickered. "Oh, well." She continued to study, to do all the chores around the house. Now Alfred took her with him to different evenings, meetings, but at home they were like strangers. "You promised to introduce me to your parents," she reminded him once. It had been almost a year since they had lived together. "What? Okay, we'll do that later. They don't have time for that yet." He brushed her off again. "Okay." Amanda was already realizing that their relationship was coming to an end. She couldn't live like this anymore, she thought differently. One evening, when Alfred, as usual, was not at home, the girl remembered her old friend Betty, decided to call her. "Hello, what people?" she answered. "Come to visit, we'll sit and talk," Amanda called her. "I don't even know. What about your roommate?" "What will he say?" Betty hesitated. "He's not here, so you can rest easy," Amanda laughed. Okay, write down the address. I'll be there soon, agreed her friend. Not an hour later, the doorbell rang. Wow. A girl walked into the hallway. What's wrong? Amanda didn't understand her. What a place, she marveled. Then the landlady herself remembered how she first came here. Of course she did everything in silence, but she was also surprised by everything here. Come in. It's good to see you. The girls hugged each other. They settled down in the kitchen when everything was set on the table, sat down at the table. Tell me, not just for nothing you remembered about me, Betty was ready to listen to the girl. I'm bored with everything, Amanda said. She told about parties, receptions, and everything else. And at home he doesn't notice you, it's weird. Sat and looked at her guest. That's what I mean, I guess we'll break up. Amanda took a sip of the wine they had in their glasses. What are you doing? Finish your studies first. It's only a matter of time, her friend advised. I can't stand that attitude, Amanda almost cried. You're gonna break up with him anyway, so don't take it to heart. Don't prepare anything for him. Treat him the same way he treats you, said what Betty thought. I do not know, sat with sad eyes interlocutor. All night long the girls talked. The young man never showed up. See, that's what I was telling you, Amanda said as she walked her friend home. Well, at least we had a good time. They hugged again. After that, they promised to call each other more often, and Betty left. Amanda cleared the table and went to the bedroom. Studying went its way. Now it was getting harder to study. They had to write various projects, term papers. It required a lot of time. When Alfred was not there, Amanda was not interfering with anything and no one. But when he appeared, it was not up to writing. Did you miss him? He'd come to Amanda? No, she honestly said. There was still hope in the girl's chest that things would still be the same for them. Come here, he pulled her to him. They would spend a glorious night together, and then he would leave again. Parties and get-togethers were rare now, so Amanda was often home alone for weeks at a time. One morning she got up and started getting ready for school. The girl was almost ready as she felt dizzy. She wanted to walk to the couch, but at one point her eyes went black and she fainted. What's wrong with me? Amanda woke up on the floor of her apartment feeling very dizzy. She took her phone out of her pocket and called an ambulance. The doctors arrived. The girl told them everything that happened to her. They took her to the hospital. Will you put me down? She asked the doctor in the ward. Yes, for a few hours to do an IV, he said, smiled, and went. But as Amanda lay there, she fell asleep. The doctors must have seen this when the medicine ran out and didn't bother her until the evening. And then when the girl woke up, they told her she could go home. Everything was fine. What was wrong with me? Was it the pressure? Was it the loss of strength? She began to wonder. Didn't you know? The doctor looked up at her. Know what? She looked at him surprised. You're about to have a baby, he handed her all the tests. Though Amanda didn't understand anything, she took the papers and started looking at them. There were so many conflicting feelings inside. On the one hand, she was very happy about this news. But on the other hand, what about her studies and Alfred? Thank you, a man muttered, and went out into the hallway. There, she started to call Alfred to come and get her, and she had to tell him about the news she had just learned. But the young man, as it was already many times, did not pick up the phone. Where are you? Amanda almost cried. She sat down on the couch, which stood here, and waited. And suddenly he would call back. But 40 minutes passed and the phone was silent. Then the girl went outside. She did not know whether to call a cab or take the subway. She decided that she had money, so she called a car. She gave the address and drove home. She was so determined that when she saw the young man, she would tell him everything. Betty, hi. She called her friend on the way home. Why are you so late? Is something wrong? She didn't even say hello. No, I'm on my way back from the hospital, Amanda admitted. And you say nothing's wrong, the friend said fearfully. I'm expecting a baby, Amanda said quietly. Wow, I'm happy for you. What about Alfred? Betty wanted to know. Nothing he doesn't know yet, I call. He doesn't answer. The future mother almost cried. Well, maybe he's busy, tried to calm her friend. Okay, I'll call you back sometime. Amanda saw that she was approaching the house. Come on. Good to hear from you. They said goodbye. The girl got out of the car, looked at the windows of the apartment where she lived, saw that the light was on in them. She was surprised. Why he didn't answer then? She paid, entered the entrance, went up to the apartment. When she opened the door, she heard cheerful male voices. She quietly undressed in the corridor. She did not want to disturb the young men having a good evening. Who's there? She heard Alfred's voice. Why can anyone come but me? She looked in on them. I see friends were celebrating something. What do you understand? Amanda wanted to clarify. That's it, go, he waved his hand. Why didn't you pick up? She picked up the phone. I didn't hear him. It was obvious he didn't want to talk to her. I see, I was actually at the hospital. She turned around and went to her room. To be honest, the girl thought that he would get upset now, run after her to find out what had happened to her, why she was in a medical facility. But that didn't happen. Amanda changed into her house clothes and cried. She didn't know what to do now. How long are you going to sit here? She decided not to be shy because the apartment was rented for her, even if it was on his money. What? The young man turned to her. Didn't you hear? The girl was impertinent. Who are you here to tell me what to do? He behaved like a master of life. Your girlfriend. Amanda stood in front of him. That doesn't mean anything. He laughed. Alfred, I'm pregnant. The hospital just confirmed it to me, Amanda said, her voice trembling. What are you talking about? He knew he had always used protection. It was true. She wasn't going to back down. Whoever came to see you while I was gone, you tell that to. He turned away from her to his friends and continued to socialize further. We're not done yet. She wanted to bring this conversation to an end. You might not be, but I am. Alfred didn't turn around. Why are you acting like this? She wanted to cry, but Amanda braced herself. Who do you think you are? The guy turned around. Nothing. The girl didn't understand him now. She already thought that she had started all this for nothing, because Alfred was not himself now. You fool country girl. He turned to his friends and started laughing. Why are you insulting me? The tears were already very close. What do you think you are? You think I saw you and went crazy, but I didn't. He looked at the guys sitting at the table and laughed. One of them was showing Amanda the class. Is this for real? She gasped. How could it be otherwise? I would never look at you if you were plain. And the girls who didn't pay attention to me before, when they see you around, they start hanging themselves in bunches, he said. The young men cackled. Amanda couldn't stand it. She cried. And what do you think? You're going to make me cry. But it won't happen. I know your tricks. Now you will say that you are pregnant, and then, when I accept, you will say that you have lost the child. And Alfred will have to be sorry. He was ruthless to her. But I really am pregnant. She was already speaking through tears. Amanda was so ashamed she was ready to fall under the ground from the whole situation. Yeah, I believe that, I believe that. She decided to find herself a rich Pinocchio. He poured his and his friends a glass of hot liquor. They clinked their glasses and drank. Well, don't believe it. Amanda went to her room. The girl thought to herself that he was not in his right mind now. Tomorrow, when he comes to his senses, everything will fall into place. But no sooner had she gotten there than Alfred came in. Come to your senses. Amanda looked at him. Yes, he pulled out her bag and started throwing things in it. What are you doing? She frantically thought about what she would do if he kicked her out now. What does it look like? His movements were abrupt and his voice angry. Let me stay until morning and then I'll leave on my own, she pleaded. Okay. He threw his bag on the bed and went back to the others who were waiting for him in the kitchen. Amanda lay on the bed, and cried. She could still hear them discussing her for a long time. But he had picked up a beggar, and when no one cared about her, he decided he didn't want her either. She also wanted to meet my parents, he laughed, the others cheering him on. It wouldn't have hurt Amanda so much if it had been one-on-one. But in public it was uncomfortable. But now she had to think not about that, but about where she would go tomorrow. Amanda fell asleep, sobbing. She woke up, startled by the slamming of the front door. She came out. Yes, everyone was really gone. Now that was good. Betty awake. She dialed her friend's number again. Did you see what time it was? Her voice was husky. Look. Amanda told her everything that had happened tonight. What an asshole. You're sleep deprived, and what are you going to do now? I don't know. I promised to leave tomorrow. But where to, I don't know. I'm going back to the dorm. But first I wanted to come to you. That's why she called her friend. Of course, she would never say no to Betty. Tomorrow morning, then, Amanda wanted to say. No tomorrow, her friend interrupted her. Right now, pack your bags, call the car, and come to me. Okay, thank you, Amanda thanked her. She started to pack her things, which were not much. At first, because of pride, the girl wanted to leave here all the things that this man gave her. But then she thought she had suffered, put up with his antics, especially the last one. She took everything with her. Amanda checked if she had taken everything so that she would never come back here again. Closed the doors, left the key in the mailbox. Went outside. The car was already waiting for her. She drove away from this house for good. Come in, Betty greeted her. Thank you again, Amanda thanked her again and again. Isn't that what you'd do if I were you? She helped her coat off. It was past their bedtime, but the friends didn't go to bed. They sat and talked about how irresponsible young people could be, how to make children, so we are the first, and when to take responsibility, so all. In the bushes, said Betty angrily. That's enough of that. Amanda stopped her verbal diarrhea. What are you going to do? Asked her friend. Abortion, the girl said the dreaded word. How? Betty's eyes got big with surprise. What can I do? I'm alone. My parents are far away. I have to finish my studies, go back to work, Amanda reasoned. You can take a sabbatical leave. The landlady made another attempt. But who will feed me and him? She pointed at her stomach. Yes, business. Both sighed heavily. That's life. You always have to make a decision and make difficult choices. Amanda yawned. Let's go to bed. The morning is wiser. Betty took her hand and they went to the room. The girls couldn't sleep for a long time, talking about the situation. Both of them didn't need to go anywhere in the morning. Amanda thought everything over. Somewhere she hoped that Alfred would sober up and call her. But the guy didn't do it. On Monday, she went to the hospital first thing and signed up for an abortion. After that, she went to the institute and said she needed a room again. They wouldn't say no. She just had to write an application. Walked back to us again. She was greeted by the janitor on the first floor. Hello. That's all the girl said to her. She went up to the floor when she entered the room where she used to live. Her former neighbor was very surprised. You what? She looked at Amanda, surprised. All love is past. Wilted tomatoes. She waved her hands and put her bag on the bed. She wouldn't tell anyone about her pregnancy. It would be over in 3 days. Come with us. Selena saw that her neighbor is very sad, and all the time thinking about something, wanted to entertain. Thank you for the invitation, but I'll stay alone for now. It was very bad. Well, suit yourself. She shrugged and left the room. Amanda killed herself in studying. She was always writing, studying, reading. When the time came, went to the hospital, after it was very bad, both physically and mentally. But the girl did not miss the institute, no matter how painful it was. She still went there the next day. You've never been home once in all your years. Why? Selena asked her when they were alone in the room in the evening. I don't know. It's far and expensive. Amanda herself didn't understand why she didn't want to go to her mother's. After all, there was time in the summer to go. In her head, she had a precise plan of what she wanted. Her village didn't fit into that concept. "Have you started writing your thesis yet?" Her neighbor looked over her shoulder when she saw Amanda spending all her evenings at the table. It was better to start early so that she could edit it later. She wanted to finish the institute well so that everything could be further. In spring, when there was a little time left before the exams, the girl started writing her business plan. Amanda didn't know what to do. She had a million ideas in her head, so she sketched not one but 3 plans. What was needed now was a specialist to evaluate all of these. Amanda decided to approach the economics teacher. "Hello." She entered the office where a young woman was sitting behind a desk. "Come in, what do you want?" she asked her. "Could you look at my ideas? I just don't know who else to turn to." She gave her folders with papers. "Wow." She began to look at them. "I think that the store with goods for repair and designer furniture can be combined," the woman told her. "I was thinking the same thing." Amanda agreed with her. The third project was a restaurant business, but that was very expensive, so not possible yet. "Thank you." Amanda said goodbye to the teacher. Everything had been put together in her head after talking to her. "Good luck." She raised her clenched fist. The exams, as well as the defense of the diploma, flew by very quickly. Ahead was the graduation, and after it was necessary to live somewhere. "Don't even think about it. You can stay at my place for the first time," Betty told her, when she found out what her friend was sad about. "Thank you. You're always helpful," she thanked her. "That's what friends are for," she told her. "I need to find a good pawn shop to sell my jewelry," Amanda once told Betty. "Why a pawn shop? They'll take it for the cheapest price. Let's try the website," she suggested. "That's right, that didn't occur to me for some reason." Amanda lit up. When she got her diploma, she didn't go to the graduation. Now she was selling her jewelry. Naturally, she priced it much cheaper than it was all worth in the store, so customers didn't have to wait long. "I think I'll just rent a place first. And if everything goes well, I'll buy it there," Amanda reasoned. "You're such a businesswoman," her friend laughed at her. The premises were rented and the goods were bought. Not only did Amanda sell everything for renovation and construction, but she could be hired to do the renovations. She'd completed a plasterer's course, so she knew how to do a lot of things now. "Would you let me stay with you a little longer?" Amanda asked her friend. The store brought income, but the girl didn't spend anything. She put everything back into the goods. "Why do you ask?" Amanda paid utilities, bought groceries, so no one was against her. "I want to go to my parents." "How many years have not seen them?" said the girl, when her store worked and brought profit for more than a year. "What's stopping you?" Betty didn't understand. "I don't know how I'm going to leave everything here." Amanda had salespeople, but mostly she did everything herself. "It's about time you hired a store manager." Her friend winked at her. "Are you referring to yourself?" She laughed. "And why not? I have the appropriate education." Showed her her diploma. "Why didn't you say anything before? It's ideal. I can trust you." They shook hands. A few weeks passed, and Amanda decided to fly to her family. She didn't know how they lived, what they did. She just wanted to see them. "Mom!" She shuddered when she saw a woman walking toward the house. "Amanda?" The woman turned at the sound of her voice. "Yes?" She opened her arms to hug the dearest person in her life. It turned out that her father had gotten more deer, and now the herd was very large, so he and his brothers were almost always in the pasture. What if, Amanda wondered. She needed to think it over carefully, but she knew that this business could also go. After a week's stay in her ancestral home, the girl flew back. It turned out that Beatty was doing very well. Business was booming. After her friend freed her up a bit, Amanda had more free time. Krimtoffer. "Hello. This is Amanda. We met at a party once." She was calling Alfred's friends so she could use the contacts she had once taken. "Ah, yes." He remembered the girl with the unusual appearance. "Could I see you?" she said insistently. Of course, he didn't mind. Then tomorrow at noon at the cafe, she dictated the address. Good. She hung up the phone. The girl hadn't said anything to anyone yet, but she had a very good idea. Hello. She saw him from afar. Ah, Amanda, hello. He was somehow nervous, probably because he didn't know why the girl had invited him here. I have a business proposition for you, she mumbled, placed a stack of papers in front of him. What is it? He didn't understand. You look and I'll tell you. She pushed the notes closer. Good. He began to look at what was written there. My parents have deer. A lot of deer. If you organize delivery here, there will be not only meat, but also horns, hooves, bones, from which you can make various crafts. I know that you can make various crafts. I know that you have a store with goods for tourists. It would be very interesting, she gabbled. Yes, it's an idea, but who will do all this? He didn't understand. Me? She looked at him with open eyes. I need to think about it, but I'm almost agreeing. He gathered all the documents, stood up, said goodbye, and went. The girl was smiling. She was happy that things were working out for her so far. I'm happy. She came home to Bethy. There's only one thing you and I are missing right now, her girlfriend told her, and winked. You mean men? Amanda guessed. The very same, she nodded. What are they for? Amanda remembered Alfred, what he had done to her. She would never forget. Why? She pouted. That's enough, a friend stopped her. Some time passed. She and Krimtopher signed a supply agreement. Now it was necessary to inform her parents and wait for the first shipment. I need an office. I need a bigger building, Amanda said. What are you talking about? We're just getting things going here. Betty was afraid. It's okay. Everything will be fine elsewhere, too, the girl was sure. She found a bigger building. Now, in addition to the store, there was a small workshop where Amanda worked, as well as a private office. Hello, Amanda. Somehow there was a knock, and a young man came in to see her. Good afternoon. She was sitting on the floor, making patterns. Am I interrupting? He looked at what she was doing. No. The girl got up and went to the table. I saw your ad for a chair design. He sat down across from her. Yeah, what do you want? She was willing to take any job as long as it was profitable. I own a small restaurant with 60 seats. I would like to order furniture, particularly chairs. He waited for an answer. Amanda was calculating in her mind how long it would take her. Well, I need to think and schedule everything, and I will call you, the girl said in a friendly manner. Okay, he left her his card, said goodbye, and left the office. In the evening, the friends were celebrating the first big order. Is he cute? Betty asked. Ordinary, Amanda blushed. Then why are you blushing? Saw her friend. That's enough. Amanda didn't want to talk to her. She called Mickey. They agreed to meet again. After that, the work began. Mickey helped her with everything when needed, bringing her in, taking her out, asking her what she needed help with. Amanda was very flattered by this. She was ready to communicate with him because the man was very attentive. Maybe we could go on a date, he once asked the girl. Why not? She was embarrassed. To a restaurant, Mickey suggested. I agree. At that moment, Amanda thought that it had been ages since she had been anywhere, because all she did was work. That same evening they met. Mickey was very courteous and polite. He met the girl with flowers. She accepted them gladly. Beautiful. She placed them on the table and picked up a menu. For some reason, their date with Alfred came to mind. It had started out well, too. I took so long to pick them out, Mickey said, and looked at the girl. He liked her at first sight when he saw her in the office on the floor. I don't know why, but you make me uncomfortable, she admitted to him. It's okay. At that moment, he moved towards her. Amanda felt like she'd been electrocuted. Yes, thank you. She opened the menu to avoid looking at the man. The order was placed. They sat, talking. Have you ever been here before? He was talking about the cozy restaurant. No. She looked around. This is my place, he admitted. So this is where I make the chairs. She laughed. For some reason today, she was thinking of Mickey inviting her to his place specifically. Yeah, he was smiling too. Somehow the communication between them started quickly. She would tell him about her plans. He would tell her about his. Both people were driven, and they were starting out on their own, from scratch. I had to sell all the jewelry my ex-boyfriend once gave me, she admitted to him. And I sold my car and my grandmother's apartment to get started. Mickey didn't hide anything. And I live at my friend's place. The girl lowered her eyes because I could have rented an apartment a long time ago, but I didn't have the money for it. It's all right. When my business began to bring income, I decided to invest in the construction of a house. Now, if there is an extra penny, all only there. And even though my house is not finished yet, I live there, he told her. What, without windows and doors? She was surprised. No, there is an old hut on the territory, which I bought together with the land, and I live there, the man explained. I'd like to see it. I wanted to think to myself, but the girl said out loud, I can arrange it. He was willing to do anything for Amanda. Then she told him about Krimtopher and the deer. That seemed like an interesting idea to Mickey, too. Why don't I get involved, too? And offer venison and souvenirs here? He asked. You could. You just have to think about it, she reflected, as if she wanted to do it right now. Amanda, why don't we become companions? Two is always easier than one. He touched her arm again. Why not? She liked businessman. In the evening, Mickey took the girl home. They had a great evening. Did you go out with him? Betty couldn't wait for her friend to come home. What's the big deal? We might be partners soon, Amanda said. She was happy. No, just asking. She realized her girlfriend was getting very emotional. That's it, then, be jealous in silence, Amanda jokingly answered her. The next day, she flew to work as if on wings. She knew that Mickey must definitely come. Some of the chairs were ready, but the man didn't want to take them away until all of them were done. Hi. He looked over to her. Hello? She walked over to him and he kissed her hand. Are you working? He walked in and began to watch again what the girl was doing. As you can see, she gathered everything from the table, realizing that as long as Mickey was here, she wouldn't be able to do anything. When are we going to see the house? He asked her for it. Not too soon. She realized they'd only known each other for a few days. Okay, I get it. He talked to her some more and then drove to work. From that point on, Mickey and Amanda began to communicate. 2 months later, his order was ready. They decided to celebrate the occasion. To the restaurant? He asked her, just like the first time. I wouldn't say no, she wasn't against socializing. Then let's not procrastinate. Let's go right now. He took her hand. Mickey, about becoming partners, Amanda said to him in the car. Yes, I'm listening to you. He turned to her. I don't mind, just as long as we each take charge and help the other. She told him her terms. And I'm in favor of that, he agreed with her. The time this evening passed beautifully besides business. The young people talked about personal relations. Don't you think it's time we started dating? Mickey said with a laugh. Are you suggesting that? She bit her lip. Yes. He looked straight into her eyes. And to that, I'll give a positive answer. She was glad that in so much time he hadn't rushed her or done anything objectionable. I'm so happy. He couldn't believe she'd say yes so quickly. Champagne, Amanda suggested. Of course, he called for the waiter. Can you imagine? When I came here, I didn't think I'd ever want to stay or even get to stay, she told him. And I didn't believe at all that something would come out of me. Yes. And to be honest, not only me, but also my relatives. He remembered what and how they told him. Off to the restaurant, Mickey suggested that Amanda go to that little house where he lived, and at the same time to see the construction site. The girl had wanted to do that for a long time, so now she just nodded to him. Oh, it's beautiful here. They pulled up to where the big, beautiful house was soon to be. And here is my abode for now. He opened the door to a small hut for her. Not bad either. She went inside. That night, the couple spent together. Everything was good. Amanda had not felt so happy for a long time. In the morning, the man took Amanda to work. He also went to work, In the evening, he was waiting for her at the entrance to the building. "Why don't you pack your things and come and live with me?" he asked. "Let's do it in a few days." She was afraid that everything was developing quickly and could also end quickly. "Okay, do as you wish. I'm not rushing you." He kissed her. Today, Amanda decided to tell Mickey everything that had happened to her here while she was studying. Not only did he think nothing of it, he also felt sorry for her. "What's past is past," she sighed. The only thing she was sorry for was having to have an abortion. "It will still be." He took her face in his hands and started kissing her. "I believe it too," she told him. They were lying on the bed. It was dark, but they could feel each other. It felt good. "I love you," Mickey said. The words sounded very loud in the silence. "I think I love you too." She couldn't yet understand her feelings for this man. "Okay, I'll accept even that answer," he turned to her. "That's it. Let's go to sleep." Now she remembered how she used to do without it. "Good night, love." Mickey hugged Amanda, and so they slept until morning. In the morning, when Amanda was at work, she called Betty to her room, and there she told her everything. "I'm so happy for you," she hugged her friend. "Is something wrong?" She saw that Betty had something she wanted to say. "You know, I think we need to expand. People want more and more, and we just have nowhere to put the goods. The store is like a warehouse. You can't get in." "You can't get in," the girl said. "Okay, I'll look into it," Amanda promised. That evening she consulted with Mickey on the matter. "Listen, why not rent a large hangar where you can make an offices in various departments," he suggested to her. "Why, that's an idea. Can you help me find it?" The girl realized that it would be a great partner in business and in life. "Yes, right now I'll do it." He took the phone and began to look through the contacts. "How about tomorrow?" She didn't want to stress him out. "Wait, I don't mind." Mickey was already dialing someone. Man left to the kitchen to talk quietly there. After he came back, he was smiling. "What?" She looked at him. "Of course it will cost a little more, but in a couple of days we will know everything." He pleased Amanda. "I'm so happy that you were the one who once chose me to make your chairs." The girl hugged his neck. "And I'm glad I paid attention to your side too." He nuzzled into her hair. And indeed, a couple days later, they had a reply that a huge hangar in the city limits was for rent. Yes, the amount was more than what they were paying now, but the turnover should increase as well. Now, while Mickey was doing the construction, Amanda was hiring workers and living only on her production. "Marry me." It had been almost a year since they'd started dating. "Mickey," she looked at the ring he was holding out to her. "Are you still going to think about it?" He didn't understand her silence. "What are you saying? I've been waiting for this." She took the jewelry and put it on her finger. "The house is almost finished. Only the interior is left, but I think you'll do a great job with it." He laughed. "Well, I think you'll help me, don't you?" Amanda hugged her husband. "Of course, in everything." He was happy to be near such a woman. "Then I am not upset at all. I know that next to you I have everything and always succeed." They stood and looked at each other. Betty, Amanda saw her at work, stand next to Jacob, who was their driver. "What?" She turned around. "I need to tell you something." Her bossy friend called her over to her. Now she turned to the man, mouthed something to him, and then went to Amanda. "Are you two having an affair?" asked and smiled at her friend. "Why are you allowed and I'm not?" Amanda looked offended. "Okay, it's okay. Mickey proposed to me." "Do you think we should have a wedding, or should we celebrate it like this, in our own circle?" They were standing right there where the other workers were. "What are you doing? You have so many people you know, family, friends." Betty looked surprised. "I think the family won't fly. We'll have to go there ourselves." The supervisor's eyes became sad. "It's okay. Don't be sad." "When did you set the date?" My friend wanted to be there for everything. At the end of spring, Amanda's face immediately lit up with joy. "Everything will be settled and decided," Betty promised. "How lucky I am to have friends and life partners," said the supervisor, and went to her room. She had a lot of things to do. She was afraid of messing up. Mickey was not sitting still either. He found out that a cafe was closing down, and even though he didn't have any money to spare, he took out a loan and bought the building. "You could ask me," his wife, to be told him. "It's okay. Don't even think about it. I'll pay off the loan in a few months," he promised her. Now everyone was doing their own work. They wanted to have everything ready for the wedding. Amanda hired her own workers to do everything in the house under her supervision. No one refused because the boss never gave her a paycheck. Business at Amanda's firm was booming, and people never stopped making repairs. "Betty, everything is on your shoulders for the time being," she told her friend. "Don't worry. Everything will be fine," she promised. After that, Amanda met with the head of the furniture decorating department. She had personally trained the specialists who worked there and knew they wouldn't let her down either. When all the instructions had been handed out, the renovation could begin. Amanda had already made a blueprint of what the house would look like when they were done. "So how are you?" Mickey asked her every night. "Great," was her answer. "I'm happy for you," he kissed her on the nose. "I think it'll be ready by May," she knew that because she was always on time. "Great. My second restaurant is almost ready to open. I want our wedding to be the first event there," he told her the secret. "So we're doing a party." She was looking up at him. "We will, unequivocally." He wanted only good things for his beloved. When the time was approaching, Bethy and Amanda went shopping. They needed to buy outfits and everything else. "I'm so nervous," the bride said as they tried on the dresses. "And why should you be? Mickey is perfect. He'll do everything just right," her friend assured her. "Yes, I don't doubt it. It's just there's some strange excitement." She looked at herself in the big mirror. "Stop talking about it." She looked at her friend, who was very funny in her puffy skirts. "No, I don't like all of this." She refused another outfit. "Maybe just a straight one," advised Bethy. "Yeah, that's probably what I'll try on," Amanda agreed. The dress lay packed away. There was still a lot to do. Just as Amanda had promised, everything in the house was ready for the move. Mickey wanted to tear down the old cabin he'd lived in while construction was underway, but his fiancée talked him out of it. "Let it stand. We'll wall it up, and it'll be a summer kitchen, because this is where we all started," she asked him. "Good." She talked him into it. He always agreed with her. From that moment on, everyone began to prepare only for the wedding, because there were no more questions about anything else. When that very day came, Amanda was at Bethy's apartment. That's where Mickey was supposed to pick her up from. "You're beautiful and happy," her friend whispered to her. "Thank you for supporting me for so many years," the bride turned to her. "It's just that you're a good person. That's why only good things are attracted to you," she said in response. "Yes, especially in the beginning." They laughed together. "Anyone who remembers the past, to him an eye out," said Betty, and fixed her veil. Then they heard the buzzing outside the window. It was the groom arriving. "I can't believe that in a few hours I'll be his wife," Amanda said and looked out the window. Everyone, get ready, went out to the entrance to meet Mickey. He came into the apartment, all slim and handsome, and when he saw Amanda, he smiled. "Are you ready to be my wife?" he asked her. "Of course, I told you that many days ago." They kissed. Mickey took his bride in his arms and carried her to the car. They went to the registry office and were asked if they agreed to live with each other for the rest of their lives. When Mickey received the certificate of marriage, the smile never left his face. "Friends, and now I invite everyone to my new restaurant." Some were surprised to hear about it. Everything went very well. It was fun, but at the same time, no one fought or argued. "Betty, come on. You're going to catch the bouquet now," Amanda called her when it was time. "Come on. Look how many people are available and willing." She looked around. "Let's go," Amanda insisted. "Okay." Reluctantly, the girlfriend stood up. The bride stood with her back to those who were about to be the lucky recipients of the wedding flowers. She swung once, twice, 3 times, but did not throw her bouquet. At that moment, Jacob appeared behind the girls, got down on one knee, and opened the box. Amanda turned, walked over to her friend, and handed her the flowers right into her hands. "What? She was surprised. "Turn around," the bride said in her ear. "Will you be my wife?" She saw Jacob, with whom she had been in a relationship for months. "God, Fema." She hugged the young man and took the ring. Yes or no? He was still waiting for an answer. Of course, yes, she was so happy that tears flowed from her eyes. "Girlfriend, be happy, I congratulate you," whispered Amanda. "Thank you." Hugged her. Betty hugged her. Further, the fun continued, and Mickey and his newly married wife went home. "What do you think?" he asked on the way home. "You're fine?" She leaned her head against him. At home, everything was nice and cozy. The young ones went straight to the bedroom and went to bed. Because a wedding is a wedding, but they had a lot of things planned. Specifically, the couple had a plane early tomorrow morning that would take them to Amanda's parents. "Why weren't yours at the wedding?" the wife asked her husband when they were both almost asleep. "We haven't spoken in a long time. They don't think I'll make anything out of me," he said quietly. "Okay, you'll tell me later. We should definitely meet." She kissed him and they fell asleep. As planned, Amanda brought Mickey to her home village. The man was surprised at every step. Everything was new to him. A lot of it he had never seen at all, or even heard of. "Mom, meet my husband, Mickey." She brought him home. "Hello, come in." The girl's parents greeted him warmly. "What a nice place you have here." The man looked around. "Thank you. Help yourself." The young people stayed here for a few days and then started to go home. "Come and visit us. The house is big enough for everyone," Mickey said. "I will, but there is no one to leave the household to." The parents were proud that their daughter had achieved a lot. And again, husband and wife were in their element. Work, work, work. Work, they thought about it every day. "Will you give me a son?" asked Mickey before going to bed almost every night. "Of course, my love," Amanda answered. But she herself was afraid that after that abortion, she might not have any more children. "I believe that the first one should definitely be a boy." He turned to Amanda. They'd been married for 2 years. They had everything. Wealth, a house, money. The only thing missing was a child. "Do you hate me for this?" Amanda cried at dinner. "What are you saying? It's not time yet." He pitied his wife. "Maybe we should try if," she asked. "Wait. It's too early to talk about it," he stopped her. "Okay, I love you." She snuggled up to him. But one day a miracle happened, if you can call it that. Amanda was at work. She herself doesn't know why she felt the need to leave the building. And when it happened, the girl did not notice the car and it ran over her. It wasn't a hard hit, but the girl fell and she lost consciousness. Oh my God, somebody call an ambulance. Betty saw the whole thing. She was sitting next to her friend. When Amanda was taken away, they should have told Mickey, but her friend was afraid of something. She decided to wait for the doctor she'd left her phone number with to call her and then tell her husband. "Where am I?" Amanda woke up in a hospital room. In the hospital, you were hit by a car. A young girl who was nearby told her. "What's wrong with me?" Amanda wanted to know if you were okay. "Nothing, a mild concussion." The nurse reassured her, checked her IV, and left the room. The doctor came in after her. "Hello?" He smiled good-naturedly. "Is something wrong?" Was frightened by the girl. "Everything is fine. Don't worry. It can harm the child." He put a chair and sat down by the bed. "What child?" She didn't understand. "Yours," he tapped her, felt her pulse. "I don't have children." Amanda resented him. "Then you will." He stood up. "Why are you talking in riddles?" She couldn't understand him. "You're having a baby," he told her, in a way that made it impossible not to worry. "Does Mickey know?" was her first question. "I called your friend, told her you were fine, but not a word about the pregnancy." The doctor came out of the office. "Betty, did you call Mickey?" She dialed her friend. "Yes, he'll be at your place soon." "How are you? Everything okay?" She was worried too. "Fine, I'll tell you all about it when I get there." She disconnected the phone and waited for her husband. Hi, honey. He ran into the room. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. Honey, it's okay. She hugged her husband. Jesus, Betty scared me so much. He kissed her. You're going to be a daddy soon. She looked into his eyes and smiled. What are you talking about? Did you bump your head? He sat down in the same chair where the doctor had just been. Yes, I know, but that too, he was now acting like she had just been with the doctor. God, honey, I'm so glad. He jumped to his feet, paced back and forth across the room, then sat down again. Are you gonna take me home? She wanted to get him out of this state of mind. Sure, when? He stopped his gaze on her. Right now, I'm fine. Just a slight concussion. She repeated the nurse's words. Let's go. And again, he took his wife in his arms, as he had done so many times, and carried her to the car. From that day on, Mickey forbade his wife everything. If to work, only he drove her. Amanda didn't spend much time there. After that, her husband would pick her up. Don't lift anything heavy. Call a helper if you need to, he told her, if he left her alone at home. Well, you have a straight hyperepedic. She could not do nothing. When you give birth, you're welcome. But now, please, keep my son. He treated her like a crystal statue. Amanda delegated all her duties to Betty, as she had done many times before. She knew for a fact that the girl could handle everything. She and her husband were a great tandem, too, and Jacob supported her in everything. It hurts, Amanda screamed during the day, with only the au pair in the house. Now, honey, bear with it. She dialed Mickey's number. The man said not to call any ambulance. He would take his wife to the hospital himself. 5 minutes, he answered, when he heard everything. Okay, we'll wait, the woman replied, and went back to Amanda. I can't, she screamed. Why did you put up with it for so long? She wailed. The assistant gathered what was needed and helped the mistress downstairs. She watched the gates, and when they were just beginning to part, she opened the doors, and they began to descend the steps. Stand back, pushed her back with his hand. Mickey pulled her back. He lifted Amanda into his arms and carried her to the car. Do you need me? The woman shouted after him. No, I'll be fine. He was taking his wife to the hospital. He was in a hurry, afraid of what might happen. Mickey! Ah, Amanda screamed. Be patient, honey. Everything will be all right, he told her. And he himself called the clinic where his wife was observed. It hurts. She was exhausted. That's it. Here we are. He drove to the porch, and even though he couldn't leave the car here, he didn't care. What's wrong with her? They saw a woman in the hallway being carried by a man. I called. She's in labor. The man shouted. Oh yes, hurry up this way. Amanda was put on a gurney, leaving Mickey alone. She was wheeled away. The whole time Amanda was with the doctors, he couldn't find a place to go, asking, but no one could tell him anything. You have a boy. Finally, a woman in a white coat came out to him. I love you. Thank you. He hugged her. What's wrong? She barely got out of his arms. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and now it's happened. He started hugging the doctor again. Calm down or I'll kick you out of here. She pulled his arms away. After that, Mickey called the restaurant and ordered some champagne and light appetizers to treat those who worked here. Mickey had such joy inside that he wanted to kiss, hug, and thank everyone right now. Outside, the man drove the car back to the parking lot and went back under the windows. But he was told that the woman in labor was resting now, and he would not be able to visit her until tomorrow. So Mickey drove to the place where Amanda worked, told everyone, and gave them a treat. Mickey, congratulations. Betty hugged him. Thank you. You have no idea how happy I am. He glowed with happiness. Maybe now would be a good time to make up with your parents. The girl reminded him of the pain in his life. You know, maybe, thought Mickey. He got in his car and drove to the place where he was once born and raised. He went up to the floor, rang the bell. Ooh, he heard from the doorway. Me? He said simply without introduction. Mickey. Mom opened the door. Hi. He stepped into the back of the room. "Where have you been all these years?" The woman hugged him. Next to him, he couldn't believe she'd just started talking to him like that, as if they hadn't seen each other in just a couple days. "Lord, forgive us. We were fools, and you are proud." She could not get away from her son. "Where's the father?" the man asked. "Over there," Mom said sadly, and pointed to the door of a small room. Mickey went in there and saw his dad lying in bed. "What's wrong with him?" he asked. "Stroke, paralysis," the woman answered him. "Why didn't you call me?" He turned to her. "You have the same character." "The father wouldn't let me," the mother confessed. "Hi, Dad." He walked around the bed and sat down next to her. A tear rolled from his father's eyes. "It's very hard for him to talk," the mother explained. "I see you became grandparents today." He raised his eyes to the native woman. "What are you talking about?" She clamped her hand over her mouth. "I got married. I have a wonderful wife whose name is Amanda. And today I have a son," he said proudly. "Congratulations." His mom hugged him again. "I brought treats there." He pointed down the hallway to the bags. "Let's go." She pulled him into the kitchen. They sat for a few hours, and then the son invited them to visit as soon as Amanda was discharged. "I'll be sure to come," the mother promised. Now the man sat in the car. There were no more dark moments in his life. The next day he drove to the hospital all night. Mickey couldn't sleep, thinking how his wife and little one were doing. "Hello? Can I see my wife?" he asked at the counter. "Yes, go down the hallway, straight ahead and to the left." The girl showed him. "Thank you." He couldn't believe he was about to see his son. "Sweetheart," he looked into the room. Mickey, she wanted to run up to him, but she couldn't because everything hurt. "So where's our little prince?" he asked. Soon to be brought, finally her husband was near, and she could hug him. "Have you chosen a name yet?" he asked her. "No, I wanted to go with you." She looked up and smiled. "How do you like Timothy?" the new father asked. If you wanted to be Timothy, she didn't want to argue with her husband. Then it was decided. He kissed and hugged her. And then the door opened. A woman with a baby in her arms entered the room. "Well, Daddy, take your child." She handed him a package. "Jesus, what a little baby." Mickey looked at it and cried. "I love you," Amanda said. "Thank you, sweetheart." He looked at her. Thank you, thank you." She loved the man. "You'll be going home soon. In the meantime, I need to get everything ready there." Put Mickey's son in his crib, kissed his wife again, and drove home. Everything was bought there. All that was left was to be assembled, and that's what the man did. A few days later, he went to pick up Amanda and Timothy to bring them here to their nest. The wife appreciated what her husband had done. She also praised him for going to see his parents. When Timothy was 3 months old, his parents called the family over for porridge. "Hello," said the mother-in-law to her daughter-in-law, whom she was seeing for the first time. "Welcome," invited her into the house. "I'm sorry, I don't know what she was apologizing for." "Don't do that anymore. Come on in," Amanda stopped her. Now everyone was gathered, sitting at the table, little Timothy asleep in his room. "So now we'll have to travel a lot. To the doctors, to other places. I can't do it all by myself," Mickey started to say. "And what do you mean by that?" Amanda stared at her husband. "You should hire a driver," he said, not asking, but stating. "Why, I can manage on my own." She didn't want her husband to spend on another worker in the house. "That's out of the question." He shifted his gaze to Jacob, who was sitting right there. Don't you want to make some extra money?" "No," the man said. "I have enough to do at the factory." "I see. So I'll put an ad in tomorrow," Mickey thought. "Okay, do what you think is right." Amanda didn't argue with him. Today, she was very pleased to meet her husband's mother, whom she had never even seen a picture of. "Katie, why aren't you eating anything?" Amanda asked her. "I'm so excited to see my grandson." She looked up, and he was just waking up. A domestic helper was coming down with a baby in her arms. "May I?" asked the mother-in-law, and got up from her seat. "Of course," smiled Amanda. Kathy walked over and took her grandson in her arms. "How much he looks like Mickey when he was the same," she mumbled. The next day, Amanda was fiddling with the baby when he got a call from her husband. Hello, he usually never called during the day. Sweetheart, a young man is coming to see you in a few minutes. Show him the car. Tell him if all is well. Will work as a driver, spoke Mickey to her like a subordinate. All right, she understood him. But it just so happened that when the guy came in, Timothy woke up. That's when Amanda asked the assistant to show him the car. Okay, I'll do it. Went that one to go down to the street. Now, my good one, she addressed her son. When everything was done, the child was fed and changed. Then Amanda herself went downstairs with Timothy. I've done everything. He's in the car now, waiting to talk to you, the woman was saying. Okay, thank you, Amanda thanked her and threw her raincoat over herself. Her son was in warm overalls. They went outside. Apparently, the new driver was so engrossed in something he didn't notice it. Hello. Amanda first put the chair with her son in the back seat, and then got in herself. Greetings, the young man said without taking his eyes off the interior of the car. Alfred. Amanda sat there, unable to believe her eyes. Amanda? He turned around and looked surprised at the guy, too. What are you doing here? She couldn't ask anything else, because as long as she knew him, he was always fiddling with money. There, you see how things happen in life. He looked at her through the rearview mirror. What happens? Amanda had only questions and no answers. Stuff like this, he waved his hands. So, let's go to the house. We'll discuss it normally there, strangely enough, but she had no anger towards this man. She wanted to understand what could have happened that he became like this, ready to settle down as a simple driver. Well, he looked at her with admiration. And you're good, a man you see all the same. Rich snatched. I achieved everything on my own. She looked at him, of course. Nothing was said about the jewelry, but nothing. It's moral damage. Yeah, right, he muttered under his breath. But Amanda heard everything. They entered the house. The mistress immediately gave the child to the assistant and went into the kitchen to make tea for herself and her old acquaintance. She couldn't look at him directly because she didn't want to. Tell me about it. Amanda turned to Alfred. Tell me what? How did you get to this life? He was interested. Yes. She sat down on the chair and waited to hear what he would say about his father not being able to get him a job at his firm. You saw how I was. I didn't understand anything in life. It seemed like my father would live forever and sponsor me. And even if he leaves, his firm and everything else will remain. He began to say, stopped, and took a sip of tea. And what? Your father left you. The girl wanted to guess. You could say so? He and his mother went on vacation and did not come back. The yacht on which they went to sea was wrecked. He tilted his head. Oh my God, how awful were they found? Amanda wondered. Yes, but much later. Alfred shook his head. And then what happened? Were you disinherited, or did it go to someone else? Amanda continued to wonder. No, practically everything went to me. And at that moment I was so happy that I could do anything now, smiled the young man. You talk like you're not sitting in my kitchen right now, getting a driver's license, but flying to the Maldives, Amanda sarcastically said. Yeah, you can mock me now, he smirked. So what happened? If you don't want to talk, just say so. What's the point of dragging the rubber? Amanda was already getting nervous. Nothing. When the time passed and I was announced that I was the owner of the firm that my father ran, I was scared, but his deputies offered to sell them some of the shares. I didn't understand anything about it, so I agreed. I thought I'd get a percentage, and in the end I blew it all, which my father had been building up for so long. Alfred was almost crying now. Well, and apartments, cars, money. The girl wondered. You won't believe it, I lost everything, nothing left. I don't even have a place to live now. Something mutilated. Wanted to open a business, sold the apartment. Then the second, nothing worked out. While I had money, I rented, and now that's gone. He was so pathetic, he said, that if Amanda didn't know the guy's character, she'd think it was some kind of divorce. I wouldn't believe it, she agreed with him. So, are you taking me on, or are you going to get revenge? He raised his eyes and looked directly at Amanda. I don't mind, I understand. Neither does my husband, so you can proceed, but just one slip up and you're out right away. She pointed to the door. I understand. Can I get something to eat? He asked. Now I will call the assistant. She will make you something. Got up and went Amanda to her son. BT, hi. She called from the nursery to her friend. What's wrong? She knew Amanda only called during the day for work-related matters. You have no idea who is sitting in my kitchen right now. She told her everything she had just learned from Alfred. Get him out of here. You could hear the girl getting angry. No need to answer evil with evil. Amanda was sure of that. She wanted to give him a chance, because if it wasn't for Bethy then, she would have been left on the street. Oh, friend, you're so strict at work and so kind at home. She didn't understand her. Okay, bye. I'll tell you all about it later. They said goodbye. Amanda spent some more time in the room with the baby and then went downstairs with him. Alfred was still here. Decided to wait for the master. He answered her questioning look. You can wait for him in the yard or the garage. Amanda didn't want to watch him here. Okay, how strict we are. He stood up and walked towards the exit. Do you know him? Her assistant asked. I have. Amanda nodded to her. I can see why he talks to you like that. The woman turned back to the sink. At that moment, Mickey came home. How did you like your driver? He asked his wife from the doorstep. Are you sure he should be working here? She asked her husband. What's wrong with him? I looked at his papers. I thought he was a normal guy, just a little unlucky in life, Mickey told her. Remember I told you how I came here, started studying and met a guy, and then... His wife reminded him about her start in this town. Well, that was him. She nodded to the street. You told me fiddling with money. The man fell silent. I did. She hugged Mickey. Okay, we decide right here and now. If you don't want to, I go and tell him that. Otherwise, let him stay, was Mickey's last word. Okay, I'm not vindictive, but I warned him that one slip up and he's leaving. I told Amanda's husband that too. I agree, he raised his hands. If he stays here, let him live in that house, at least for the first time, Amanda asked. How kind you are. He kissed his woman and went to talk to the new employee. In the evening, the husband and wife put their son to bed and went to their bedroom. In the morning, Mickey left very early, and Amanda and her son needed to go to the doctor for a routine appointment. She called for Alfred, who seemed to have just opened his eyes. We're leaving in a few minutes, she told him. Good. I'm almost ready, he nodded, and glanced at the table where her coffee was steaming in a mug. Go on, they'll get it ready for you. She took the mug and went upstairs with it. They got in the car, drove off. Everything went quickly at the polyclinic. They could go home. Amanda, why didn't you chase me away? He asked her. Because I have a sense of compassion for those in need. She didn't look at him, only at the baby. May I ask what happened to your pregnancy then, or were you really lying to me? He didn't look up to see her in the mirror. Abortion. Just one word, but it's such a sick whiplash word. God, I'm sorry. Now she could see he was crying. Do you think you're being punished for that now? Amanda asked. I didn't until I saw you. I basically threw you out on the street then like a piece of junk, and you could do the same now. He stopped talking. Today is the first and last time we're talking about this, and you're living in the cabin until you get a paycheck and get a place to live, Amanda explained. Now she was so proud of herself for being able to control her feelings. It turns out she had helped someone in need and got an apology from him. Okay, sorry again. They pulled up to the house. He opened the door and helped her with the baby. God forgive her. She didn't even turn to him. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Subscribe to the channel. Like it, write comments if you like the story, and see you on the channel.